Alright, after for so long, Vector finally gets some support with Umberal Horrors, along with a new version, technically a retrain of number 104, which is technically the first over 100 number retrain, which now makes me hope that the other Barian Emperors also get one as well. But not only that, a technically retrain of Chaos Chimera Dragon, but as a Barian Hope. So quite a good amount of insane stuff, so let's begin. So we start off with Shining Umberal Horror, which is a level 4 light fiend with 0 attack, 2000 defense, and its artwork really reminds me of Star Seraph. But anyway, each effect is hard once per turn, the first one being if you normal or special summon an Umberal Horror or a Masqurade Exceed monster, aka your number 104, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, draw a card. Then if you drew an Umberal Horror monster, you can special summon it. Definitely already very good just to make your plays, on top of the fact that you draw an extra card, and if it just happens to be a monster within the archetype, well, that's another summon. And what's even better is the next effect, where this card can be treated as 2 materials for an Exceed summon of a number monster that requires at least 3 materials, aka number 104. Definitely a 3 of the deck just because of how useful it is. And then we go to V Umberal Horror, which is a level 4 dark spellcaster with 500 attack, 1500 defense, with each effect being hard once per turn, with the first one being if this card is no more special summon, you can add 1 Umberal Horror monster from your deck to your hand except itself, which is an auto 3 up as its consistency boost, and you have other special summon effects, with the second effect where you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 1 Masqurade Exceed monster you control, special summon from your extra deck 1 number monster that is 1 rank higher than that monster you control by using it as material, and of course it's treated as Exceed summon. And now even better, since not only that it's a consistency boost, but it's also a card that lets you rank up without using a rank up spell, and the artwork really reminds me of a silhouette of Vector when he first shown up, but must run 3 up just because of how useful it is with consistency boost, and on top of that being a rank up magic by not actually be a rank up magic. And then we go to Gorgonic Umberal Horror, which Gorgonic being an old archetype of his past, but anyway, it's a level 4 dark rock monster with 1200 attack, 0 defense, and each effect is hard once per turn, the first one being if you control no monsters and all other monsters you control are Umberal Horror, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you can add 1 non-rock Umberal Horror monster from your deck to your hand, which makes this an auto 3 of as you just basically make your Exceed plays here, in which the second effect is that you cannot special summon from your extra deck except for number Exceeds, which is a little unfortunate because Gorgonics are not numbers if you're trying to even run Gorgonics, with the third effect where this card is treated as 2 materials for an Exceed summon of a number that requires at least 3 materials. So just like the first card being treated as multiple materials for one of your bigger boss monsters, aka Masqurade, and still very useful for its first effect as it basically sets up your plays. And then we go to 1000 Umberal Horror, and based on the name 1000, it actually represents Dawn 1000. Even the artwork kinda shows it. But anyway, it's a level 4 dark fiend with 0 attack and defense, and each effect is a hard once per turn, the first one being a quick effect where you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to place 1 7th Barian from your hand or deck to the field zone face up, but you can only special summon Exceed monsters from your extra deck until the end of the next turn. 7th Barian being a new field spell that Vector is going to be using, with the idea of him controlling all the Emperors. But definitely very useful to search for one of your key cards, with the second effect where if an Exceed monster is special summoned while this card's in the graveyard, you can special summon this card, and you also take no effect damage for the rest of the turn by your own card effects. As a reminder, some of your cards will do yourself damage, so this can be helpful as some protection, and also being another level 4 that could summon itself so you could go for more plays. Not as a necessary card, but it is pretty helpful, especially to search for your field spell. And then we go to the new number 104, Masqurade Magician Shining Vein. I'll have to assume if Vector became more in the good side, which is a rank 4 light spellcaster Exceed with 2700 attack, 1200 defense, so same stats as the original, but anyway, it requires 3 level 4 monsters, and its effects are, the first one being once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card to add 1 Barian spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which you definitely have a good number of, especially a lot of them were Nash themed, but could still be used in all the other over 100 number decks. So this is really emphasizing on the part where what if Vector became the leader or won against Nash in a way, with the second effect where an Exceed monster that uses this card as material gains this effect. If it's Exceed summon, activate this effect. Your opponent can banish 4 monsters with different attributes and 1 spell from their deck, and if they do not, you banish the top 10 cards of their deck. Which I will have to say is quite nasty, because 1, a lot of decks probably don't even have those attributes, as many decks centered in 1, and 2, making them lose key cards from the top 10 can also be hurtful. But at the same time, it is considered deck thinning for your opponent, so do be careful. But the first effect is definitely useful as it searches for key cards, and it's essentially a boss monster in its base form that just basically extends your plays, as the second effect kind of indicates that you want to rank it up. And now we go to the rank up Chaos number 104, Masqurade Magician Umberal Victory. Got the idea that this is supposed to relate to Hope Brave Victory, but anyway, it's a rank 5 dark spellcaster with 3000 attack and 1500 defense. Requires 4 level 5 monsters, but that's not happening as you're going to rank it up. And the first effect is that once per turn, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it, which could be nice disruption. The second effect is that if this card battles opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can make this card's attack and defense become that opposing monster's attack and defense, whichever one is higher, plus 100 during damage calculation only. Which basically means any monster that this card battles, it will be 100 points stronger than that monster. Kinda like the idea of Wicked Avatar, and I remember Hope Brave Victory having some similar effect where it gets attack points equal to the opposing monster, and that's kind of what it referenced, I assume, even though this monster becomes the same attack as the opposing monster. But I still remember that one scene where Chaos 104 keeps getting an attack equal to the opposing monster but 100 higher, so probably more so reference that. With the third effect where if this card destroys opposing monster by battle, send 1 random card from their hand to the graveyard, and if you do, half their life, which is definitely very nasty as this card is always going to be 100 points higher than the opposing monster, and forcing your opponent to discard can already be pretty powerful, but halving their life can be insane. So overall, cool new retrain that references quite few anime moments. And now it's time for the new version of Chaos Chimera Dragon that is also with the power of Barian Hope, and probably the idea if Vector became the center Barian Emperor with the other Barian Emperors defeated. Chaos Exceed Hope Emperor Dragon, Chaos Barian Dragon. Already pretty awesome here, but it's a rank 7 Dark Dragon Exceed with 0 attack and defense and requires at least 3 level 7 monsters. And you can also Exceed summon this card by using one of each over 100 Chaos number from 101 to 107 that you control as material. So similar to Barian Hope, except that this time it's the Vector version, uniting the 7 Emperors, in which the main effects are the first one being gains 1000 attack for each material attached to it. Chaos Chimera Dragon also has the same effect, and so does Barian Hope, with the second effect where your opponent cannot add cards from their deck to their hand while you control a number C monster as material except by drawing, which is definitely very powerful, preventing them from searching. And I think it's also a reference to the original anime where Vector throws some of Nash's cards, in which the last effect is that once per turn you can detach 1 material from this card to attach the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck to this card, which I kind of like that the effect kind of references the original counterpart, especially from the anime, especially with the deck destruction like abilities that Vector have. And I also really love that it also prevents them from searching, which is a very Vector thing to do to make it hard for the opponent. Overall, I really love the idea of Barian Hope, especially inheriting Dawn Thousand's power, hence the crest on the chest, in a what if scenario where if Vector won the war. And then here's the overframe rare, which definitely looks pretty awesome. And now to the new field spell itself being the 7th Barian. And based on the card artwork, I believe it's based on the final battle between Nash and Vector, where he basically had the power of the other Barian Emperors, except for Nash and Miazel at that point. But anyway, its effects are, first one being each player can only special summon non-number monsters from the extra deck twice per turn, while this card is face up on the field, which is definitely very powerful as a stun effect, especially restricting your opponent to only summoning 2 extra decks per turn, with the second effect being hard once per turn. During the main phase, you can add 1 Umberal Horror monster from your deck to your hand, then discard a card, which is just auto 3 up because of it, consistency boost, and the discard doesn't really matter as you're gonna have graveyard related effects. With the third effect where hard once per turn during the end phase, each player takes 400 damage for each Exceed monster on the field, which if you don't remember, that support searcher for this field spell actually protects you from effect damage. But if I remember correctly, this kind of references that field spell that actually deals damage to the opponent at the end phase based on how many Exceed monsters on the board. And over time this could be very nasty, but regardless, this is definitely a good card to run, especially on the lock part, but overall a good new addition, especially for the searching. And then to our other spell, Barian's Hope, which is a normal spell, and I really love this artwork referencing the moment where Yuma tried to save Vector, with each effect being a hard once per turn, first one being special summon 1 Umberal Horror or Masqurade Exceed monster from your hand or graveyard, then you can make all Umberal Horror monsters you control become the same level as one of the Umberal Horror monsters from your field or graveyard. Basically lets you bring something back, and it happens to be one of your main deck monsters. You can make all of them equal to the same level, so you can make your Exceed summon play. So already pretty useful, with the second effect where you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 1 Exceed monster you control, attach 1 number Exceed monster from your extra deck or graveyard to it. Definitely very helpful to recycle those Exceed materials, just so you could actually activate full power Chaos number effects. While you're using this more so for the special summon effect, it is nice that you could special summon back one of your Masqurade monsters and then banish this from the graveyard and then put back the other material, the base form, into that chaos number. But overall a useful card that might be 2 to 3 of. And now to our last card, Barian Seal, which is a counter trap and you can only use one of each effect's hard once per turn. So when your opponent activates a spell or trap or a monster effect while you control a Chaos Exceed or a chaos number that is over 100, negate the activation, then you can attach one monster from either field or graveyard to your Exceed monster. With the second effect being, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then special summon 2 Umberal Horror monsters from your graveyard. Once again, it's another typical archetype that just negates card effects, and it's just pretty helpful, especially as a counter trap, and it is pretty nice that it works with any over 100 number or Chaos Exceeds. But additional effect to summon 2 Umberal Horrors, very helpful as well. But honestly, since it's a trap, you might not run this, but it's still worth teching in. And so that's it for the new support for Umberal Horrors, along with the new 104 Retrain, and a technically new Barian Hope fused with Chaos Chimera Dragon. What do you guys think of it? Overall, I do find them pretty awesome in a what if scenario if Vector actually won instead. Definitely a lot of anime references, especially since Sexo is one of those I remember fondly, but the retrains of number 104, along with the new version of a Barian Hope that is Chaos Chimera Dragon, I was definitely not expecting at all. And I just found that pretty awesome that it actually makes me hope that there's going to be retrains for the other over 100 numbers as well. And just having the new version of Barian Hope being a Chaos Chimera Dragon technically is also pretty awesome and definitely wasn't expected at all. But on that, I really do hope the other Barian Emperors actually get some more support for their decks. Although recently we did get Battling Boxers, and kinda Sharks, and also Dragons. But still hoping for more cards. But on that, that's it for this, and see you next time.